muted, you can go camera off too, but please come camera on when it is your turn. And then at the end, we will invite everybody back on to do the panel, not the student panel. We're all students once though. Okay. Adam, are you ready? Adam? Adam, are you ready to go for the YouTube channel? Can everyone hear me? No one's talking to me. I sound like a crazy person.
I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
You are live.
Thank you, Timothy. All right.
We haven't let anybody in, right?
No. I'm going to hit the go live.
Okay. So really quick question. So the chatters, once we go live,
wait. I think we are live.
Okay, be quiet.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for Discover Your UC. We're going to go ahead and get started here in a minute while we allow all of the participants to log in. So please be patient and we'll get started in just a minute. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for today's Discover Your UC. Today's program, we will be spotlighting the UC Berkeley, UC Merced, and UC Santa Barbara campus. My name is Kia Tan, and I am our Associate Director of Diversity Engagement and Transfer Initiatives at the Merced campus. I will also serve as today's moderator for the program. This Discover Your UC is brought to you by the UC Transfer Prep Programs. And so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start the program. So before we begin, I want to make sure we go over some virtual guidelines. We ask that all of the guests use the Q&A button to ask any questions. Behind the scene, we actually have several of our colleagues from different UC campuses, as well as the 3 campuses that are being spotlighted today, available to answer your questions. We also have a few of our program partners, such as Puente, Mesa, and Moja, behind the scene to answer questions for you as well. So please use the Q&A button to ask questions. We will be using the chat function to send out any information that we want to make sure the entire audience has access to. Before we begin today's program, I'd like to start with a land acknowledgement. Because I am from the Merced campus, I'll be sharing our land acknowledgement with you. We pause to acknowledge all local Indigenous peoples, including the Yokuts and Miwok people who inhabited this land. We embrace their continued connection to this region and thank them for allowing us to live, work, learn, and collaborate on their traditional homeland. Let us now take a moment of silence to pay respect to their elders and to all Yokuts and Miwok people, past and present. If you would like to learn more about who the original inhabitants are of your land, we encourage you to visit native-land.ca. For today's program, I'll cover a quick program overview. We'll cover why you should consider UC. Again, the Discover Your UC webinar series is a collaborative between all 9 undergraduate campuses through the UC Transfer Prep programs. And so we want to make sure that all students or guests in attendance have an overview of why you should consider the UC system, covering UC Transfer 101, making sure everyone understands the transfer admissions requirements and resources and services available to you. And then, of course, we're going to move over to our 3 campuses to talk about what specifically their campuses or what is unique about their campuses for you. And then lastly, we'll end with a live Q&A where we'll invite all of our panelists back on screen, and I'll be moderating that session. So why should you choose UC? Well, at all 9 of our undergraduate campuses, we have over 700 majors students can choose from. Students often have the ability to double major or minor as well. And with over 700 majors that you can choose from, really there is something for everyone. We conduct research. So students at all UC campuses have access to world-renowned faculty who are doing groundbreaking research, and they have the ability to participate in different research labs, whether if it is in the humanities, in public health, or in bioengineering. So across the whole board, there's research opportunities for all students. We're also public service institutions, and so we do, wherever each one of our campuses are, we do provide public service. This is one of those ways in which we do it is through the Discover Your UC webinar series by Transfer Prep. Other ways that we do it would include things such as our national, our ag resource service stations across the state of California. If you're interested in growing or being a better farmer or how to grow fruits and berries in your backyard, you can actually utilize those resources. Our libraries are also public resources. So there's really a variety of resources that are available to the public at the UC as well. We have 9 undergraduate campuses located across the state. Our furthest north campus is UC Davis, which is west of Sacramento. Our furthest south campus is UC San Diego. And those 2 campuses, along with UC Santa Cruz, will be spotlit tomorrow. So please come back and join us for that. But for today's program, we're going to cover Berkeley, which is the first University of California campus, Merced, which is the newest University of California campus, and then our sister campus, UC Santa Barbara. So now I'm going to go ahead and pass the microphone over to my colleague Melissa from the Santa Barbara campus.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I am going to talk to you all things transfer today. So this portion of the presentation is going to be helpful for you to understand basic eligibility, what you need to do in order to apply to any of the UC campuses. So although only Merced, Santa Barbara, and Berkeley are here today, this will be helpful as you're getting ready to apply. So who exactly is a transfer student? So we define a transfer student as a student that has completed high school and has enrolled either during the fall, winter, or spring term, so a regular college term, at a university or college or university after completing high school. So that's who we define as a transfer student. So if you're still in high school and you are taking college classes, that's amazing, but you're still considered a high school student because you are still in high school. So this is specific for transfer students that are interested in transferring to the University of California. There's a lot of reasons for students to consider transfer. First and foremost, it is an amazing opportunity for students because there are a lot of resources that exist within the state of California and the community colleges, the CSUs, and the UC. So our presentation is focused on the University of California, but really all of these reasons are helpful for you as you consider your options. So there are, first and foremost, a lot of people talk about this first, money, right? Going to a community college really allows you to save money because you can take courses that will help you as you're getting ready to transfer either in general education areas or your major that are relatively less expensive than going to a UC or CSU. And it's the same content, same information that you would be doing, that you would be learning at a UC. So definitely a huge perk to save some money in terms of tuition and fees. There's also a lot of other ways to save money as a transfer student. And one of those is because you might be staying close to home. You don't have to stay close to home if you don't want to stay close to home because there are many opportunities for you across the state. But because you don't necessarily have to move out, you're saving money being close to home. There's a lot of reasons for staying close to home. Sometimes you just don't feel ready. Sometimes you your family might count on you to help them, to support them. Maybe you have little siblings at home that you want to make sure that you are there to help with, help supporting your parents or your guardian. So it's an opportunity for you to consider staying close to home, so that you can still contribute to the family, knowing that you'll still have the opportunity to go off to a university, but saving money, staying close to home. Sometimes also emotionally, right? We might not be ready yet. We are still learning how to be a person in this world, and maybe you still want that support from your family because you have such a good network, or maybe your friends, right? You're really close to your friends. So again, a lot of reasons why it's nice to stay close to home or to choose to go to a community college and be a transfer student. Um, College admissions in general is such a different thing nowadays, where you're planning, you're working hard while in high school, and maybe you don't get into the school that you want to go to, right? Your dream school. Think of the transfer opportunity as a second opportunity, a second chance at your dream school, because this is a whole new process. Everything that you do or that you did in high school, it's a separate part of your life now. Now you are a transfer student, you're a college student, and you have another opportunity to apply to the other campuses that you might want to go to. Or maybe you've discovered new colleges and universities that you're like, wow, that's pretty exciting. I've never heard of Santa Barbara. Where's that? It's an opportunity for you to really kind of broaden that horizon and try again for that dream school. Sometimes you're not interested in something right away, right? Maybe you're like, well, I don't know, college is maybe not for me, but I know that I want to move forward with my career because I want to be an accountant, or I want to eventually be a lawyer. So like, I know that education is going to be important and a necessary step. But right now, I'm still kind of, trying to figure things out for myself. So being a transfer student really does allow you to opportunities to explore academic areas that maybe you didn't know about, or maybe you're thinking, okay, I do want to be a doctor. So let's start taking some of those classes now to see if it's a good fit for me. Or I want to be a teacher. So let me start taking classes in an area that might potentially be what I want to be a teacher for, maybe a history teacher or a language teacher. So a lot of really great opportunities. You are able to explore the opportunities that exist at your community college, maybe talking to counselors and career counselors to really find out what you could do at your community college that is step one in your end goal of getting to wherever it is you want to be. If you have no idea, it's okay. You don't have to have everything figured out right now, but it's a great opportunity for you to start taking classes in different areas. So you can say like, oh, anthropology, what's that? That sounds kind of interesting. You can take some classes and then you can start figuring out if that really works for you, or you can, shift your focus. So all of those things are available to you as a transfer student. Also, maybe you just feel like you need to reinforce some of those skills that you learned in high school. Maybe you want to strengthen some of those skills. You want to continue to build upon your knowledge and your learning. So it really does give you a lot of great opportunities. There's a lot of advantages of transferring. The University of California, we actually give priority consideration to transfer students that are applying from California community colleges over students that are applying from any other college or university. We're very proud of this fact, and we are dedicated to serving students at California community colleges. And we do this by a lot of different programs like the Transfer Admission Guarantee, which we can talk about today. There's also an opportunity for you to complete UC general education and lower division requirements at the community college. So for example, if you're at your college, you can start taking classes in general ed that will ultimately help you as you transfer to a UC, and you finish all those GEs before you even transfer. So you are not wasting time. You are being productive and saving money. Lower division requirements are essentially the classes that you have to take during your first or second or so years at college that are specifically tied to your major. So if you wanted to be an economics major, you would have to take certain courses that will help prepare you for your more advanced upper division courses. And all of those lower division course requirements could potentially be at your community college, which again, helps you prepare. So bottom line about this really is that you're not wasting time. You have so many opportunities to take those general ed courses, to take courses in your major, and overall, that helps you towards transferring. I've mentioned a little bit about the financial benefits. So saving some money, maybe you have the opportunity to live at home or with family members. And if, they're allowing you some flexibility in terms of, helping out in terms of rent, or maybe doing some chores to make sure that you focus on your studies, really take advantage of those opportunities because it really is great. There's also financial aid available at the California community colleges. And there's the California Promise program that exists. Each of the community colleges manage their own Promise program differently. So definitely check out the community college that you're interested in or that you're in right now, and make sure that you're aware of those benefits that come with being part of the Promise program. Because there are so many courses available, you again have that flexibility to explore areas of interest and courses. So if you want to take a theater class because it sounds super fun, you can do it and it's transferable. You can always double check all the transferability on a website called assist.org. There are there's access to a lot of transfer admission partnerships and resources. So for example, getting invited to this webinar today is an example of some of those resources that exist for you. So if you've expressed interest in transferring to a UC campus, maybe you have a UC TAP account. That's why you received this invitation, because we really want you to be aware of the resources that exist, and know that you're not alone on this transfer journey. So we'll keep on moving on. How to prepare for UC. First, you want to research majors, right? So your major is not necessarily tied to what you want to do in your career, and that's okay. But your major is going to be what you focus your time and efforts and what you will receive your bachelor's degree in. So if you wanted, like I said, I mentioned a couple, anthropology, biology, or English or history, that's going to be your major. So that's going to be your main focus of study once you transfer. At the community college, you can do those lower division preparation courses that will help prepare you for the more advanced courses. You want to look at all of the different campuses that Kia mentioned earlier. So today you're going to learn about Santa Barbara, Merced, and Berkeley, but explore the rest of the campuses. If you joined us yesterday and you're also planning to join us tomorrow, that's great, because all of us, although we're on the same system, we might have very unique majors, or we may not have a major that you're interested in. So always make sure that you refer to the campuses to see if they have what you're interested in. Planning ahead is really essential. So you can do this by connecting with your counselors at your community college, going to the transfer centers, attending webinars like this. It's really important to be aware of resources and also utilize those resources so that you're well prepared, right? So are you keeping track of the courses that you're taking? Does your community college have something that you can refer to online? Do you have a UC transfer admission planner account? And is it updated every semester with your courses and grades? All of that is very helpful for you as you're preparing to transfer to a UC campus. Utilize the resources that exist at your community college. Are there special programs? Is there a transfer club? Can you be part of Puente, Mesa, or Moja, or CalSoap? Are you part of EOPS? There's a lot of resources that exist for you at the community colleges, because we all want to help. We all want to make sure that we can meet you where you're at and help you achieve that next step. If you are interested at a UC campus, you're here because you're interested in UC campuses. Meet regularly with UC admissions staff. So either it's, conducting a virtual presentation or going to your transfer fair this fall to see if your favorite UC campus is going to be there to talk to you in person. Make sure that you connect with each individual UC campus, because it is very important to make sure that you maintain those relationships so they can give you advice specifically to that university and to that major. So again, keep that UC TAP updated. If you haven't created one, please, please, please create an account, update your academic plan, indicate where and when you want to transfer so that we can give you those resources. You can learn more on the admissions.universityofcalifornia.edu website that has the system-wide information for all UC campuses. I've talked about, all of the benefits, all of these different things, opportunities that might exist for you, but what exactly do you need to transfer to a UC campus? Now, first and foremost, I want to say that most UC campuses are looking primarily for junior level transfer students each fall term. There are a few campuses that may or may not accept lower division or sophomore transfers or mid-year transfers. So just be aware that not all UC campuses have that opportunity, but all of us are looking for junior level transfers each fall term. And the application process takes roughly a year. So you apply about a year before you're actually ready to transfer, because we look at all of your completed, in progress, and planned courses in order to see if you're eligible and selective for our universities. Now, when I talk about junior transfer admission requirements, I like to start off with the 7-course pattern, which is that third piece that you see there. The 7-course pattern includes 2 courses in English composition, at least 1 course in math, something that's beyond intermediate algebra, such as pre-calculus, college algebra, or statistics, or any advanced math, and then 4 additional courses from at least 2 subject areas in arts and humanities. What are arts and humanities courses? History, philosophy, theater, literature courses. Behavioral and social sciences. What are those types of courses or departments? We're talking psychology, sociology, political science, anthropology, global studies, lots of options, and physical and biological sciences. Those are chem, physics, bio, and a lot of other science courses. So 7-course pattern, okay? 2 English, 1 math, and then 4 from 2 of those 3 areas. Beyond these 7 courses, the rest of your units can come from any UC transferable area. That could be GE courses, that could be courses that prepare you for your major, or both, okay? So just know that we will first and foremost make sure that you have the 7-course pattern. And beyond that, we're gonna look at the rest of your courses to make sure that there are, considering any limits and repeats and that kind of stuff, that you have at least 60 UC transferable semester units or 90 quarter units of UC transferable units by the end of the spring term prior to transfer. So for those of you that are maybe getting ready to apply this year for fall 2023, that means that these requirements have to be completed by the end of spring 2023. So when we receive your application, we'll have everything that you've done through the summer, everything that you have in progress in the fall, and then everything that you have planned for the spring, okay? 7-course pattern, number of units, and then the last piece is GPA. So California residents need a 2.4 to be eligible for admission to the University of California. Non-residents need a 2.8. But ultimately, each UC campus is going to have a recommended GPA, right? So you want to ask them, ask Santa Barbara, ask Merced, ask Berkeley, what is your recommended GPA? What do you suggest students have in order to be a competitive student for admission? This might be just a general GPA. They might say you need this GPA and a major GPA, right? So just be aware of those different things, because the last piece of the puzzle, a very important piece of the puzzle, is completing the required and recommended courses for your intended major. You do have to pick a major, so it's very important that you look into those resources and those requirements. So ultimately, when I explain major preparation, I always say it comes down to, is it required or is it recommended? Required, you have to have it done before you transfer. Recommended means that we really want you to try to have it done because it ultimately helps you in the long run towards graduation. So every single course that you have to take for your major is known as major preparation, okay? So beyond having to complete those courses, there may be specific GPA or course grades that may be required for that course. So for example, Santa Barbara, we need every single student that wants to major in economics has to have microeconomics, macroeconomics, and calculus, right? Calculus 1 and calculus 2. So we need those courses, and then we need to see grades and a specific GPA. Each UC campus will have this. There's a lot of variation between the UC campuses, but there's also a lot of similarities, okay? Especially for a lot of our most sought after majors, there's a lot of alignment that way because we understand that students, you're preparing for multiple UCs, maybe even some CSUs and private schools. So work with your counselors to make sure that you have a good plan to prepare for your major, because ultimately these courses that you're taking right now at your community college, they're going to fulfill the prerequisites for the other courses in your major that you'll take once you transfer to the UC of your choice. Be sure to check ASSIST and campus websites for more information. So if you haven't seen assist.org, highly recommend you to do that because it is an amazing web resource and website for you all that has all of the admission information. Now, we have a lot of chatters that are helpful. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the Q&A. Just wanted to remind you of that. I'm going to introduce my amazing colleague, Kathy Martinez, that's going to talk about the Puente program.
Okay, thanks, Melissa. Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Kathy Martinez, and I'm going to share about the program that I work for, which is called the Puente Project. Puente is a community college program that has been around for over 40 years. And some of you may have heard of it since there is the high school version of it, and maybe some of you were even participants. Puente means bridge in Spanish. The program was originally designed back in 1981 to help Latinx students bridge over to universities by assisting them with the transfer process. Today, Puente is open to all students, and we're at 75 community colleges in California, and we're also in Texas and Washington. But most of the sites are actually here in California. So why do you consider joining? Well, throughout this presentation, you are gaining a lot of knowledge about how to go through the transfer process and how much help is actually out there for you. Programs like Puente take it even one step further. We not only want to help you with the transfer process, but we want to help you grow and thrive as college students to do well in all of your courses, because there's so much to gain through the community college experience. Also, Puente is free. There's no cost to join the program. You will immediately become a part of what is called a learning community. And this means that you'll take some of your classes with the same group of students that will support each other. You'll be assigned to the same English instructor for 2 semesters who will help you strengthen your writing skills, which is something that will be useful, for all of your courses. And you'll also be assigned a counselor who will stay with you until the time you transfer. Now, this is actually a really huge deal because most students don't have access to a regular counselor and have to make appointments. So your Puente counselor is going to be assigned to you, and it's going to be way more accessible. Other advantages include being able to visit universities, help with financial aid, scholarships, mentoring, connecting you with research opportunities, career exploration, and even the chance to participate in social and community and cultural events. And you'll also be able to use your participation in Puente on your UC application when it comes time to apply. Puente students transfer at higher rates and are very successful once they are at the university level. So in order to join, you must sign up before you enroll in your English classes. This is because taking your English courses is part of the whole program. Many of our colleges, their programs fill up quickly since Puente has been around for a while and is pretty popular. However, there may still be openings right now at some of our campuses, so that's why we're here today to share that. So I'm including my email, which is located at the bottom of the slide, and I'll also put it in the chat. You can contact me directly if you're interested, and I'll let you know if we have the program at the community college that you're going to be attending. And if we do, then I'll connect you with the faculty at that campus who can assist you with signing up. So feel free to contact me by email, and I'll also stay on here if you want to ask any questions in the Q&A. At this point, I'll turn it over to our next presenter, Brenda, who will share about the Mesa program. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Kathy, and hello, everyone. My name is Brenda Salguero, and I work in the Mesa office here at the University of California Office of the President. I am so happy to talk to all of you about the Mesa program, which stands for Mathematics, Engineering, Science Achievement. It is not Mesa, the word for table in Spanish. That is deceptive. It has nothing to do with that. It's an acronym. And this is our mission. Mesa serves underrepresented students majoring in calculus-based science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields who intend to transfer to a 4-year college or university. So we are a 50-year-old program. We exist throughout the state of California in various middle schools, high schools, universities, and community colleges. So you might have actually been or are a part of the Mesa program as a community college student or as a middle school or high school student. But whether you are familiar with Mesa or not, you are definitely welcome to participate by reaching out to your director on campus. You can find an online directory, which I will link in a second, along with, or you can actually contact Juanita Muniz Flores here at the UC Office of the President, and I will also share her email as well. So some of the services that Mesa centers at different colleges provide include academic advising. So we do help STEM students with academic advising. We do academic excellence workshops as well. We have obviously a student studies center where students can congregate, have meetings, meet with other students in the same major, and also partake in some snacks, and professional development and student organization. So Mesa does connect you and sometimes will fund participation in other student organizations. And the other two bonuses are the AD Accelerator and the mentorship program. So the AD Accelerator is a program that is an online course that teaches human-centered design for students. And it culminates on a pitch presentation. So students learn a ton about building an idea that serves the community. And also the mentorship program. So the mentorship program is a one-on-one, one-to-one student program where you are paired to a employee at different companies. So that includes PG&E, Cisco, and Western Digital. And so you will be paired with an employee, and there you can actually work with them for 6 months and try to get your foot in the door at any of these companies. So those are the advantages with Mesa. And we have a ton of different locations. So you can actually click on that link or visit that link in order to see which campus has a Mesa program. But Santa Barbara has one, obviously. And I will send in the chat the entire directory of, let's see if I can copy it right now, of our directors that you can all see. So that's it for me. I'm going to pass it on to our next partner, Devon.
Thank you very much, Miss Brenda. Afternoon, amazing people. My name is Devon Walker, and I have the honor, the privilege of representing Umoja today. Umoja is a Swahili term which means unity. And what we try to do is we try to make sure that we are improving and promoting unity across the African diaspora and supporting Black student success at over 70 community colleges all throughout this beautiful state of California, 2 in the state of Washington, 1 CSU, and 2 UCs. A lot of the amazing work that our Puente sister said earlier will be applicable to Umoja as well. If you are interested in learning about African-centered pedagogy, if you are interested in taking some of our courses, our English courses, our math courses, our history courses, then you can be a part of the Moja program. Just like Puente said, we also have amazing cultural opportunities for you all, including one, the Student Leadership Summit, which is actually next week, hosted at UC Santa Barbara. Much love, Melissa and Marcus, if y'all are on here. Hosted by UC Santa Barbara, where we'll be able to teach our Umoja leaders how to be leaders and how to go back to their campus and really make sure that the campus and the resources are giving you what you need. Umoja started a little over 20 years ago at this point by a group of educators who felt like the campuses weren't doing enough to support their Black scholars. So they used their own funds. They didn't ask for any permission, and they started holding their own conferences, started, taking the money out of their own pocket to feed their students, to give them books and resources, as well as cultural opportunities. And now 20 years later, again, we were at 70 different amazing community colleges all throughout the state. If you are interested, I'm gonna need you to please do me a favor. I am dropping the link to our Umoja student application. First off, if you're already in Umoja, go ahead and do the little Umoja shuffle for me, the little sidestep dance. There we go. I see you. I feel you. There you go. And if you're not already in Umoja, click that link that I just put inside of the chat. Go ahead and click it right there. Search for your campus and then submit your very simple, quick information so that we can get you connected with your Umoja counselor today. We have our counselors available. We have our coordinators who would love to connect with you. And of course, we have our Umoja faculty who are teaching the courses on the campus. So I'm going to, pass it off to Esperanza from UC Berkeley, but I appreciate y'all for being here today, and best of luck to all y'all in your application process this fall.
Thank you, Devon, sorry. Hello, everyone. My name is Esperanza Bernal, and I'm with UC Berkeley, and I will talk to you a little about support services that are on our campus. Now, you've already heard about all of these really great programs, but as you know, you are students that have you're multi-dimension, right? And so you might fit in different communities across, whether you're a veteran, a student with learning disabilities or physical disabilities. Maybe you're a non-traditional student. I was a transfer student myself, and I was re-entry and also a veteran. And so it's really important to kind of see what the University of California has for you. We really want to make sure that you are supported, that you are able to build community, and that you're able to really thrive on our campuses. Some of the great things that you can find within all of the different student programming that we have on our campus, I'll highlight a little bit about veteran services, specifically, all of these are going to vary across campus. So everything that we're going to tell you right now, it's really important that you go back, do some research on the specific UC campus that you're interested in, because although we are the UC system, we're like siblings, right? We're all different. We all have our different personalities. We're located in different areas. So all of the programs exist, and they're going to have a little spin and a flavor to them. So for example, at UC Berkeley, our veteran students do get priority registration. There are education courses to help you transition, to help you understand higher education, specifically as a student veteran. You do have different experiences than some folks that might be traditional students. So we definitely want to make sure that we offer as much support and community as possible, whether it is through counseling. We work with the Veterans Affairs Office. So there's somebody from the Veterans Affairs that comes and does psychological counseling for our veterans on our campus. And that's actually open to any veteran in the Bay Area that wants to come to our campus and access that. But again, all of this is to make sure that you feel supported, that you feel seen, and that you have a community that you can engage with. So really look at all of these things. If we can go to the next slide. All right, yes. And so we continue with, whether it's a former foster youth, it's really important to understand that, this is a small community of students. How do you connect with others that might have had the same experience as you, or might be going through the same challenges that you might be facing with either moving away, having left your family, going to school in a different area, right? How do you build community? Being an undocumented student, we know that you're faced with so many challenges, and how are we able to really provide support, whether it's legal advising, whether it's counseling, whether it is money for books, or even a lending library. It's really important to know that there are all of these really phenomenal resources for undocumented students on our campus, and also like work study and financial aid. So don't feel discouraged, right? You might feel like, oh my God, it's so expensive. I don't know if I can afford this. The University of California really does do a lot of really great work for our undocumented students. So please make sure you definitely check it out. There's some links for you. You will also have access to these slides later on if you want to go back and check them out. And obviously, as a transfer student that you're here, right? What are the things that we have for you? Transfer specific housing, transfer centers across our campus, transition programs. I mentioned the one for veterans. We also have transition programs for transfer students. Like, how do you navigate, your next 2-3 years, right, at the UC? Peer mentorship. We really want to make sure that you, sometimes transfer students feel like they're a little behind, but you're not, right? You're not behind, and we're going to be here to make sure that you feel supported and that you can build community to make sure that you thrive at the University of California. And now I'm going to go ahead and kick off the campus information. So you've heard so much about eligibility criteria. So UC Berkeley For the interest of time, I will say we only have about 7 minutes, and I've seen a lot of the questions, and your guys' questions are so detailed and specific. So I'm not going to be able to cover them, but I'm going to give you an overview. And I want to make sure that you know that this is just the beginning of a conversation, that we are here for you, and that you can always access us and ask those questions if you don't feel like they were answered today. So just an FYI before I start. So UC Berkeley, we are located in the Bay Area. We are the flagship institution of the University of California. I think one of the great things about UC Berkeley is that we are in a very lively community. We are located so close to San Francisco, to Oakland. We have public transportation. It is not only an urban, center, but it's also really close to nature. It's close to being able to, like our campus itself, you can just walk up and go through the fire trail and all of a sudden be immersed in nature, right? And so it's really important to know that not only will you have access to diversity, to music, to food, to technology, to industry, everything is really just at your fingertips at UC Berkeley. Museums, library, I geek out. We have, an extensive library. I think UC Berkeley has the biggest library west of the Mississippi. So all of that, if you geek out like me on books and knowledge, that's all at your fingertips. And when you unite the University of California, we actually have the biggest library after Congress. So just thinking about all of that information at your fingertips with the UC. Now, who are we? Who represents us? We are a school that is dedicated to our students. So we have about 31,000 undergraduate students, 79 of those being freshmen, 21% of those being transfer students. So transfer students make up 1/3 of our incoming class. So we believe in the importance of our transfer students, the diversity that they bring, and we're committed to California. 95% of our transfer students come from California community colleges. 26% of our students on our campus are first generation, with 29 being Pell Grant eligible, which really helps us understand that we're serving the state of California for not only social mobility, but really providing opportunity for students that are low income. Now, we have 11% of our students that are re-entry, meaning that, you might have taken a gap, you might have gone to the military, you might have decided to focus on your children or your grandchildren. Sometimes we even have some folks that come back after, they've had their career and all of a sudden they want to go back and get an education. So transfer students really make up a quilt of beautiful experiences. Now, in terms of languages spoken, we have over 20, and you can see the ethnic breakdown of our campus right there for you. If we go to the next slide. All right, so beyond Berkeley, something that we're very proud of is that 65% of our students graduate without any student debt. So if we think about a lot of the times we're like, can I afford this? Is it something that I can pull out? It's so expensive. I encourage you to not take yourself out because you feel the UC is too expensive, because most of the times the University of California, all of our campuses are going to work really hard to make sure that we can provide the best financial aid package available for you. 80% of our students graduate either with a job offer or an acceptance to grad school. And being part of the Berkeley community gives you connections to a large global alumni network. We've been around since 1860 something. I can't remember the year, but we've had a lot of alumni that have graduated from Berkeley, and you have that. And additionally, Forbes considers us a top 5 best value school, meaning that you get a bang for your buck. And now again, really, right, we don't have a lot of time. There's a lot of information. There's definitely a lot of specific major and college information that you're going to need to know about UC Berkeley that, Melissa was telling you guys here, the general things, but it's really important to know that each campus has a specific, requirement or, things that you need to do for the major or general education, all of those things. We don't really have time to break all of that down, but what I want to highlight is what is at your fingertips. So we have at Berkeley, we have the Community College Transfer Service Program. And what we do is we provide advising to students at 45 community colleges and more, where we've been advising students on a virtual basis. So if you're able to connect with us, we're more than happy to work with you. We provide one-on-one appointments, any academic planning, requirements, transfer support, all of that. Our staff are always here to support and help. You can visit our website by going to cep.berkeley.edu/CCTS, or you can send us an email at transfer@berkeley.edu. It's super simple. Now, keep in mind that we are not the Office of Undergraduate Admissions. We are an outreach program that is focused on supporting students through the transfer process, especially understanding UC Berkeley. But we encourage you to also connect with the Office of Undergraduate Admissions at UC Berkeley. And you can do so by following those links. I know all of you guys are social media experts, and you know that our handles are at UC Berkeley Admissions or at Cal Admissions, or for our programs, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook just by hitting that at Berkeley CCTS. And so with that, I hope that you will know how to connect with us, and I'm going to pass it on to Sheila from UC Merced.
Thank you, Esperanza. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So my name is Sheila Zhang, and I am the Assistant Director of Transfer Initiatives here at UC Merced. So to get started, why do students choose UC Merced? I forgot to say this, but fun fact, I'm actually a UC Merced alumna. So I graduated from UC Merced with my bachelor's degree a while back in psychology. Students choose UC Merced because they enjoy the accepting and friendly campus. They like the cutting edge technology. And as some of you may know, UC Merced just wrapped up our 2020 project, which brought on new buildings, facilities, and residential halls to our campus. So this cutting edge technology is utilized in all of the new spaces and rooms that we have here on campus. If you step foot on campus and you walk inside some of these classrooms and laboratories, you're actually going to be the very first to see this cutting edge technology. We have almost 200 clubs and organizations, and it's growing every year. What's really cool about UC Merced is that if there's a club or organization that is not yet on campus, you can actually come here and establish that club and organization. So how cool is it to just really say, you know what, I started that club. I'm the founding president of that club at UC Merced. I can say that as an alumna, I was part of many clubs and organizations, and I can truly say that there are traditions that I've started in clubs that I've been in that are still being carried on, and I had the opportunity to do that. There are daily campus events happening on campus, from things like, you know, for breast cancer awareness, we have a fair, we have students tabling, we have boba fundraisers. There's always something happening on campus when you step foot here at UC Merced. We're within close proximity to Yosemite National Park, which gives our students opportunities to work within the park, as well as, you know, take a recreational trip out to do some kayaking or hiking. And there are opportunities for undergraduate research. Really being able to just get into some of those laboratories, work closely with your professor, and just, you know, get that research opportunity is what students, you know, decide on choosing UC Merced for. So these are some of the reasons why students choose to attend UC Merced. Every reason will be different when you ask a student here at UC Merced. And as an alumna, I can say that I chose UC Merced because I wanted to be part of a growing campus that had opportunities for me to thrive and be successful. And I just really love the community. I think when I had, you know, walked on campus, I just found that everybody was just so welcoming and friendly. And that was also one of the reasons why I chose to attend UC Merced for my bachelor's degree. All right, next slide. So here at UC Merced, you know, attending your classes, going to lectures, all of those are really important things to do to be successful. But it's also about taking that experience and learning outside of the classroom, being able to really apply hands-on experience to what you're learning in the classroom is something that we strive to ensure that our students get the opportunity to do. So here are some programs and opportunities for students to really take that experience outside of the classroom. If you are interested and law and policy and legislative work, we have UCDC, which is actually UC system-wide, which allows you to actually, learn and live at the UC Washington Center. So if you are interested in, policy or law or legislation, UCDC is a great opportunity. We also have study abroad. So if you are interested in studying in a different country, study abroad is UC system-wide. So we do have that program at all UC campuses. And then we have our World Heritage Research Experience Scholars and Mobile App Challenge, which really allows students to, go outside of the classroom, take on challenges and innovative experiences. We have our Yosemite Leadership Program, which really strives to build leaders and advocacy for the environment. So if you love being at the national parks, you care about the environment, or you just want to build your social skills and to be a leader, the Yosemite National Park is a 2-year program that allows you to really gain this experience while building your leadership skills. And then last but not least, we have our Sierra Nevada Research Institute field station. So for those of you who are interested in the environment or water or climate or air, students actually get to go up to the Sierra Nevada Research Institute field station and conduct research. So we actually have a station there. You get to go out there and stay for the summer or the terms and complete research with many of our professors. These are just some examples of what you can do outside of the classroom that I wanted to highlight. All right, so next slide. Here at UC Merced, we have 3 schools. We have the School of Engineering, the School of Natural Sciences, and the School of Social Sciences, Humanities, and Arts. We call it SHAW for short. All of our 3 schools offer in total 25 majors, but we actually award 27 degrees. You might notice on this slide here that some of our majors are offered as a Bachelor's of Science and a Bachelor's of Arts option. The only difference is really the type of courses you'll be taking. I also want to highlight that civil engineering is a new major that is opening for transfer students starting fall 2023. So for those of you who might be interested in civil engineering, it is a new major available to transfer students fall 2023. You might notice on this slide that we have an option for undergraduate education for undeclared. So UC Merced is open for lower division undeclared transfer students, meaning that if you are interested in transferring to UC Merced before you reach junior level status, you could possibly do it. However, there are certain requirements that you do need to meet if you're interested in coming in as an undeclared transfer student at UC Merced. So if that's what you're interested in, please reach out to us. We'll definitely sit down and help you figure out what that process might look like. And then if you're interested in coming at the junior level, reach out to us as well. We do have our transfer initiative program, and our program is really focused on ensuring that students are eligible and ready to transfer to a UC campus, especially students who are coming from the Central California region. We offer services such as advising appointments, workshops, presentations, one-on-one appointments. The goal of our transfer initiative program is really to ensure that students have access and information and resources to ensure that they can access a UC education and plan to readily transfer. We do also host a summer program. So we just wrapped up our Transfer Academy program. So students in our transfer initiative program really get the opportunity to just really, participate in our summer programs and have access to our transfer advisors who can help ensure that they are on track to transferring to a UC campus. So we'll go ahead and put our UC Transfer Initiative link in the chat, as well as our contact information. But with that, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Melissa at UC Santa Barbara.
Hi, everyone. I'm back. I'm going to talk about UCSB now. I do want to say that you are all asking amazing questions in the Q&A, and we are getting to them as fast as we can. And we do have a lot of UC reps here, but maybe not every single UC campus is here. So just be aware that at the end of the presentation, we will have contact information for all the UC campuses so you can ask them the questions directly. So UC Santa Barbara, one of my favorite campuses, which is why I work here, is an amazing place. And I think that it is a very welcoming community, and transfer students from anywhere, any place, any walk of life can find a home here. Most recently, we were ranked the #5 public university in the nation. That's by U.S. News and World Report, which is, one of those nice numbers that we like to talk about. But ultimately, there are so many UC campuses in that rankings list, so you really can't go wrong with the UC campuses. Among our faculty, we do have 6 Nobel laureates, specifically in the departments of chemistry, physics, and economics. So these faculty members are just world-renowned in their field. So you could be taking classes from these faculty members and would really help you understand a lot of really great things. You can ask them about their research. Fun pro tip: always ask faculty members about their research because they love talking about it. At UCSB, we have, just like I said, an amazing community. In the Princeton Review ranked us as the #1 happiest students in California, and it really has to do with a lot of like the environment in Santa Barbara, the chill vibes, as the students would say here. We are undergraduate focused, which I think is really important to mention. And you all, as transfer students, are undergraduate students, which means the services, the programs, the resources that we have at UCSB are focused on you. The faculty members, the professors that we have at UCSB are working at UCSB because they're interested in that undergraduate experience, and they rely on undergraduate students to really help them with their research, inform their classes, and all that good stuff. So UCSB really is a great place, and I love it. Transfer students, your major is really important. So as you're thinking about applying to UCSB, I always like to highlight the 3 colleges that we have. Next slide, please. Here we are: College of Letters and Science, College of Engineering, and the College of Creative Studies. So major preparation, like I mentioned earlier, like a lot of people have mentioned, very, very important. So it's very important for you to understand that you have a lot of opportunities at UCSB, and major preparation is always going to be something that we talk about. Like, we're always going to want you to focus on that. But ultimately, these are the selective majors at our campus, meaning that major preparation is going to be required for you in order to apply and be eligible for that major. Okay, so starting off with the College of Letters and Science, the selective majors at UCSB include all biological sciences, and we have 10 different types of biology at UCSB. The economics majors, which include economics and the economics and accounting program at UCSB. The mathematics majors, which include mathematics and applied math. The physics major, and the performance-based majors that require an audition. So dance, theater, and music. Those are the ones that require an audition. So these programs are the ones that will either require the audition that you need to pass or specific courses, always referring to assist.org to see which courses are required and which ones are recommended, because all of these majors in the College of Letters and Science will have required courses and they'll also have recommended. Again, required courses have to be completed by that spring term prior to transfer, and your GPA is calculated through the fall term that you apply. And the recommended courses, not going to be required, won't impact your decision at UCSB, but we really want you to take them if you can, because it helps you out in the long run. Most of these majors are part of TAG, all of them actually, except the performance-based majors in the College of Letters and Science, because the audition. So lots of opportunities at UCSB's College of Letters and Science. Then we have the College of Engineering, 5 majors: chemical, computer, electrical, mechanical, and computer science. Computer science lives in the College of Engineering at UCSB. All of them are highly selective. All of them require major preparation. None of these majors are available via our transfer admission guaranteed program, unfortunately, because the College of Engineering is really small. It's probably one of the smallest engineering programs, College of Engineering, within the UC system, with only about 1,600 students total in these 5 majors total. So that's like a really, really small type of engineering program. We have about a 10-to-1 student to faculty ratio in the College of Engineering. So highly selective, major preparation is required, some recommended courses as well, not eligible for TAG. Last but certainly not least is the College of Creative Studies. All of these programs are selective simply because there is a supplemental application required as part of the admission process, which means that if you want to apply as a math major in the College of Creative Studies, you have to submit a supplemental application directly to the College of Creative Studies at UCSB. The College of Creative Studies is kind of like a graduate school for undergraduates. The students in CCS for short, are really focused on creating new information. So that's where the creative in the College of Creative Studies comes from. Students are required to do their own original work. So if they're in the sciences, they're doing research projects. If they're in the arts or maybe writing and literature, they're producing their own original work. So if they're an art major, maybe their focus is on painting. That means that they have gallery showings of their own original paintings. So it's a really, really unique program for students, very small, anywhere between 350 to 450 students at any given point in those 8 majors. What's the difference between math in the College of Letters and Science and the College of Creative Studies? Great question. Math in the College of Letters and Science is going to be a lot more broad. It's going to be, more of that traditional type of experience that you can expect from a university. Math in the College of Creative Studies is going to be more uniquely tailored to you, your interests, your passions, and your talent, and the work that you do with your faculty members, since you do have a faculty mentor if you're part of the College of Creative Studies. So that might mean that you are interested in a very particular field in math and you want to do research in that one field, and your faculty member is willing to support you with that. So that's the big difference, okay, between the majors that might exist between the colleges. Moving on, qualifying for TAG at UCSB, since we do have the Transfer Admission Guarantee Program, we offer webinars at UCSB that have an hour-long webinar just on TAG. So I'm going to try to summarize this in a minute. TAG at UCSB is basically eligibility set at a higher level of selection. So I talked about that during the beginning of the webinar. We just have earlier deadlines for certain requirements and a higher GPA, specifically a 3.4 overall UC transferable GPA at the end of fall 2022 for fall 2023 TAG. Full details are on our webpage. Again, all majors in the College of Letters and Science are available via TAG. College of Engineering and College of Creative Studies are not available through the TAG program at UCSB. There is no fee to submit a TAG application. The fee comes with the UC application, but no matter which campus you tag to, know that you'll have to also submit a UC application for them in October or November during that filing period. Next slide, please, Kia. I think I have one more slide that has, a ton of information. So I really want you to know that UCSB is super supportive. We have resources for every single way, any type of thing that you might need in your development as a person, financial resources, food resources, housing resources. We're really focused on making sure that students have their basic needs met. And we have programs in place to kind of help support you. Like I mentioned, it's a very welcoming community. So you ask for help, you're going to receive it. A lot of the free food resources that exist include CalFresh. There's food pantries where students can go and get food. There's prepared meals as well. And we're also thinking of ways to help encourage students and to learn, right? So there's cooking and nutrition courses that students can take, free drop-in type things. There's housing resources. There's university housing that is prioritized for transfer students, typically in the apartment building. So just be aware of that most transfer students are placed in the apartments, not in the traditional residence halls. Usually you're living with roommates, 2 or 3, 1 or 2 roommates, because there's either doubles or triples at UCSB. And the financial aid that you apply for via the FAFSA or the California Dream Act application all helps with these types of fees. So just be aware of that. Speaking of financial aid, there's a financial crisis team at UCSB. There's a really great Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships team at UCSB. So you have financial aid advisors, financial aid peer mentors. There's opportunities for work study. So know that you have a lot of great resources at UCSB. And then also well-being. So besides making sure that you are being a good student and you have access to resources to be a successful student, we also want to make sure that you have other needs met as well. So health and wellness, counseling and psychological services, cultural resource centers, multicultural centers, mentoring and support programs. There's just so many resources that exist to make sure that you feel comfortable and taken care of and at home at UCSB. So that's really, really important for us. I think I'm going to hand it off to Kia because I think that was my last slide. And yes, I'm going to hand it off to Kia. Thanks, Kia.
Awesome. Oh, my mic is down. All right. Hi, everyone. Well, Thank you so much for all that wonderful information. Now we're going to move to our live Q&A. So I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to ask that all of our panelists who presented come back on camera. We had so many amazing questions actually through the Q&A chat coming through. And so I'm going to ask some of these questions live to our panelists so that way we can answer it live and make sure that everyone in attendance has an ability or, to hear what the answer is from all of our different partners here today. So, and I apologize, I took notes, so I'm going to be reading my notes as I ask you all these questions. So don't mind me if I'm looking down a little bit. A few things I did want to just reiterate before we hop right into that Q&A is this recording is live streaming right now on our UC Transfer Initiative Program YouTube channel. So as soon as this recording is over, it is live on there for folks to access. Yesterday's session is also going to be made available there, as well as tomorrow's session. So if you're interested, please visit our UC Transfer Initiative Program YouTube channel. And one of my colleagues, I believe, just popped it in there a little while ago, the link to that YouTube channel. So feel free to visit that as a resource. Thank you, Sheila, for dropping it in there again. Other thing I just want to reiterate, because there were a lot of questions about application term. So some of our campuses are open for what we consider the winter or spring term, and those applications are due July 1 through the 30th. And so you should check on the University of California website, application website, to determine which campus is open for the spring or winter term. Merced is one of those campuses that is open in the spring term, but all 9 of us are open every year for the fall term, and that application is going to be August 1 through November 30th. So you can always count on all 9 of us to be open for the fall term. So I just wanted to make sure I shared those little notes. And then also there were tons of questions about how to use Assist. Folks were actually actively going on to Assist as we were going over the UC Transfer 101 information. So that's super exciting. I just want to let you know on the Assist website, there is a resource on the homepage on how to navigate that tool. And so you can definitely find that resource there on how to use the Assist agreement or how to navigate the Assist website. So all right, so now we're going to hop right into our Q&A. And so my first question that I have is, I am a STEM major. What should I prioritize between the 7-course pattern, IGETC, and major preparation? And I'll open up to anyone who's on our panel. Feel free to answer the question. And then if no one answers it, I'm comfortable enough with this group, I'll just call on one of you.
I can go ahead and take that one. So if you're coming in as a STEM major and you're transferring in as a junior level transfer student, you definitely need to complete the 7-course pattern. This is part of the minimum UC transfer requirement. So you do need to complete that 7-course pattern. And then depending on the major and the campus that you are applying to, you'll want to complete major preparation. So for junior level transfer students, you want to focus on completing minimum UC transfer requirements, which are needed to be considered at minimum for the UC. And then depending on the major and the campus that you are applying to, you will then need to focus on your major preparation, especially for STEM majors. These major preparation requirements will vary by campus. Some campuses might want you to have a certain GPA or certain courses with certain grades completed for that major at that campus. So if you're coming in as a STEM student and applying at the junior level, you do need to complete your 7-course pattern requirement, which is part of minimum UC transfer requirements, and your major preparation requirements for the campuses you are applying to. Now, I know for some STEM majors, you might have already completed IGETC. And if you've already completed IGETC, that's perfectly fine. IGETC does help you to fulfill some of those minimum requirements, such as the 7-course pattern, and help you to fulfill potentially the unit requirements. So if you are a STEM major and you've realized that you've already completed IGETC, do not worry. If you completed IGETC, you've completed IGETC, right? But do definitely make sure that you have the minimum UC transfer requirements and your major preparation requirements for the campuses and the majors that you're interested in applying to.
Can I just add something really quick, because I got this question quite a bit in the chat. So UC Berkeley likes to do something a little different, but Sheila's advice is the what you take away. If you're trying to apply broadly, make sure you get the 7-course pattern in there. Berkeley for admissions will not be looking at seven course pattern. They will be looking at something different, which is called essential skills, if you are not doing IGETC. So it's either one or the other. It's either essential skills or IGETC. So in order to set yourself up for success and cast a wide net, you make sure that you do the 7 course pattern, even though Berkeley won't be looking at that for admissions. You will need to do it to graduate, but they will not be looking at it for admissions. But again, cast a wide net, make sure you get it all in there.
Thank you, Esperanza. And that is why we have all our experts here, because again, it's just a little bit of difference from each one of our campus. And so one of the questions that came up a lot actually in the Q&A is, how can students make an appointment with an admissions advisor? So if the 3 of you who are here, or even, if our program partners also have a way for students to make an appointment with one of the program advisors, what's the best way for a student to make an appointment with one of you?
I'll go first. So at UCSB, we are going through some transitions right now. We're building our team. We are trying to get back up and running. So I'm going to share a link in the chat where you can connect with the counselor that's assigned to your community college. But please know that there are a lot of community colleges that are currently vacant right now, and we are working to fill those vacancies as soon as possible. We would recommend that you attend a webinar if you have any Santa Barbara questions.
And really quick for Berkeley, thank you so much for the contact us information on the chat, Adam. So yes, you can, similar to Santa Barbara, I think it's really important for students to understand that, admissions folks and program folks have had to deal with a lot of the same things you have had to. So there's been a lot of transition, a lot of, loss. There's been a lot of movement around. So a lot of our offices currently have, dwindling numbers of staff. So there's way more of you than there are of us. So please be patient. Like Melissa said, there are webinars. We're trying to do major programming where we can answer general questions, but there is availability to reach out and try to contact an admissions officer. Just know that due to the high volume of requests and the number of folks available, it might take some time, but you can always connect with our program, which is an outreach program. I gave you guys information on CCTS, cep.berkeley.edu/CCTS. And so if we're at your community college, we'd be more than happy to go ahead and connect with you.
And then for UC Merced, if you want to make an appointment with an advisor, the best way would be to send us an email at transfer@ucmerced.edu. One of us will reach out to you and schedule a Calendly appointment or whatever kind of appointment you want to have, if it's in person, virtual, or via phone. Just send us an email at transfer@ucmerced. All you have to do is say, hey, I'm interested in transferring to UC Merced. How can I schedule an appointment? And we will get you connected with one of our transfer advisors.
Awesome. Thank you all for that. So another question that came up in the chat was, so should I complete the major prep for my alternate major? Can I get into my primary major after enrollment? So what advice do you have for students regarding alternate majors?
I guess I'll go. So I think it's always important to know that if you're trying to like maybe double major, add a major, or are interested in minoring in something, it's going to vary depending on capacity of the major. I think it's really important to know that a lot of students are very interested in a major, and when they're admitted, or there might be some programming, there might be some difficulty in getting into a major if you've been admitted to your let's say your first major, but your second major might be more competitive, or vice versa. It's really important to know that the more prerequisites that you have for the major, it might be easier to take on the major, but it's really gonna be based on the capacity of the major, how many students are already in the major, and whether they can accommodate more students to declare the major. So it might not be about you and your readiness for the major. It also might be that there is no capacity for it. So just, be open to that when you're looking at UCs.
I would add that all the UC campuses will most of the UC campuses will allow you to select an alternate major on your application when you apply. And sometimes, you're concerned like, okay, well, what if I'm not, selected for my first choice? Know that we will review you for your second choice major. So my best advice for students is that you should apply to the competitive major that should be your first choice major, because that's what we will review you first. And then if you're not eligible or not, don't have the required courses or what have you, we can then evaluate you for the second choice major, which is sometimes closely related, but not exactly the same, and may have less requirements or maybe just have recommendations. In terms of time, because I know sometimes students are like, well, what if I don't have the courses? Well, like I said, most of the times it is closely related to the major that you are originally planning for. So you might have some of those courses, but that's where we want you to talk to us so that we can, kind of help guide you through those situations.
And I just want to add on to what Melissa mentioned. So definitely apply for your first choice of major, right? If that's the major that you want to come into, apply to that one. But also with alternative majors, like Melissa mentioned, if you don't meet the selection for the first primary major that you selected, we will review you for your alternative major. But with alternative majors, make sure that it's a major that if you get accepted into, you are willing to continue in that major. A lot of the time, sometimes that we have here that happens at UC Merced is students apply with an alternative major and they don't get into their first major. And then when they get accepted into the alternative major, they want to change their major back to that primary major. And unfortunately, that doesn't happen because we do, for our School of Engineering and School of Natural Sciences, they do want students to meet the selection requirements for that first major, right? So if you do apply to an alternative major, make sure that if you get accepted into that major, it's something that you're willingly, happy to accept and take and complete your major in. That's the only advice I would have for those of you who might be considering alternative majors is if you don't get accepted to your first choice of major, but you get accepted into your alternative major, you're happy with it.
Thank you. Our next question is for our colleague from Puente. This one came up a few times in the chat. Can a student join Puente if they've already completed their English course?
Yeah, thanks, Kia. Yeah, a few people had asked this, and like I mentioned when I was presenting, that Puente is the English classes, it's the counseling, and also mentoring. And so if you've already taken your English classes, that's great, but technically it means that you can't be part of the program. However, most campuses have a Puente club, and you can join the club where there's still some services that would be available to you. I know another question that comes up is that if they don't have the Puente program at their campus at all, what else can they do? And there's lots of services on all of the community college campuses. There's EOPS, there's tutoring, there's, for undocumented students and so forth. So, even if we're not there, or Moja or Mesa, know that there's always other student services, and you should definitely take advantage of them.
Thank you for that, Kathy. And then this one came up yesterday a few times. I'm not sure if I saw it today in the Q&A, but I figured I'd ask it again because it may apply to a few students in the audience. But do students need to identify as Latinx or African American or Black in order to participate in either one of your two programs?
Ready, Kathy? We tag teaming. Great question, Kia. So I believe both of our programs, you do not need to be self-identified within the Latinx diaspora or within the African diaspora. Our program at Moja does focus on African-centered pedagogy. So you will learn a lot about Black history, a lot about African history, but all of our students are welcome to participate in the program.
Yes, and definitely the same. It's open to all students. There is a focus on Latino literature, but we also cover multicultural literature in our English courses. So we have students of all backgrounds in our program.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. So the next question, here at UC, sometimes we're guilty of using too many acronyms or too much lingo. And so one of our students asked, what does the term non-traditional mean? Because it came up a few times in our presentation. Would any one of you on the panel like to help us explain what it means to us when we say that at UC?
Yeah, I can answer this. So non-traditional students, there are a lot of resources that exist at the UC campuses. So most UCs will have a non-traditional student center of some sort, maybe might have a different name. And it is an opportunity and a space and resources for students that don't fit that traditional college age. So UC campuses might see this differently. So it kind of depends on the UC campus, but like at UCSB, anyone that's 24 and over is considered a non-traditional student. Maybe students that have families that have children could be considered non-traditional students. It's just a space that acknowledges and appreciates and honors that students come from different backgrounds and might have different needs. And, we're just trying to be sensitive to those needs and provide resources. It might be different than what your community college might might say is non-traditional. So just be aware of that. But it is a space to support students that may come from non-traditional type of educational backgrounds in our students.
Thank you so much for that, Melissa. I have another question from a student who is applying to multiple UCs, right? So, of course, all of us have slightly different major preparation requirements. And so this student's concern is if they're applying to multiple UCs, what advice do you have for them? Do they need to complete the major preparation for every UC that they're applying to? Do you have any advice for them on how to go about this to ensure they're as competitive as possible?
I can go ahead. So if you are applying to multiple UCs, first, I would look to see if your major is included in the pathways, right? So UC does offer something called UC Pathways, which provides you kind of like a comprehensive list of how you should prepare for our top 21 popular majors at a UC. We'll go ahead and drop the link there. So if you are applying to one of our top popular majors here at UC, we do have UC Pathways, which will allow you to kind of see like, okay, if I'm interested in this major and I'm interested in applying to several UCs, how do I prepare? Pathways will allow you to see a set list of courses that you can complete to be competitive. Now, do note that the major preparation requirements do vary by UC. So even if you check out Pathways, you still want to make sure that you are checking the campuses that you are applying to. Sometimes the courses might be the same, but you might need a different GPA, or certain courses might require you to have certain letter grades. So I would really just organize this in kind of like a visual space on a spreadsheet or a table, right? If you're applying to these programs, what are the courses that are the same? Because some majors might have similar courses that are required that you can complete that fulfills the requirements for several UC campuses, but you also want to notate those differences. Is it a GPA? Is it a letter grade? Or is it a specific sequence of courses that you need to complete? So if you are applying to several UCs, definitely check out transfer pathways, see if your major is listed there and how you can prepare for different UC campuses. And then also you just want to make sure that no matter where you're going and how many campuses you're applying to, that you're referring back to the campus websites for their particular campus specific requirements, because you just want to make sure that you have the GPA and the letter grades and the specific courses listed down for each campus.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sheila. So another question we have is actually coming from our YouTube Live. And so thank you for those of you who are joining us from YouTube. And the question is regarding work experience, as many of our transfer students are also working adults, right? How is work experience or even a gap year viewed in the application? Where would you encourage students or advise them to input all these additional things that they may do as working adults or, individuals who are supporting a family in their UC application, and how does UC view all of this information in the application?
I can take that one. So the University of California uses comprehensive review methods. So there are 9 points of comprehensive review that exist that basically say these are the 9 things that all of the UC campuses can look at when deciding how to admit their students. So I'm going to drop the link in the chat, as we like to do, and it explains what those 9 points are. Most of them are academically driven. So as transfer students, you're college students. So academics are always going to be first and foremost. So there's things like completion of transfer pathways, associate's degrees, the GPA, the courses that you've taken in your major, very, very much focused on academics. But we also want to see information of your accomplishments in light of your life circumstances, because we know that everyone is coming from, all different types of places. So one of the things that we can look at is the academic accomplishments in light of, also being a working student. A lot of UC campuses might also heavily value work experience if it's related to that major as well, right? So that's like an extra layer of how we might look at work experience and internship opportunities. The majority of the UC campuses are still going to be academically driven, but it's important that you really fill out the application as thoroughly as possible. So there's in the activities and awards section of the application where you can enter everything that you've done in terms of work, internships, extracurricular activities, all of that good stuff, you can enter it there. And then you will be asked to answer your personal insight questions when you submit your UC application, one of which will ask you specifically about your major and how you prepared for that major. And then the other ones are going to be focused on, you have 3 choices from 7 options. So it really is an overall review that's still heavily focused academically. Hopefully that helps.
Thank you so much, Melissa. So I have another question. It's more focused on financial aid, but obviously students are interested in how to afford and pay for college. And so the question is, what kind of financial aid does UC offer? And then what are the factors that UC look at when we are awarding financial aid? So I'm not sure if anyone on the panel can answer it, but feel free to take a stab if anyone's brave, and I know most of us are admission folks.
Yeah, I will start with, I'm not a financial aid expert, but I did just answer a question because somebody brought up the concept of non-traditional and whether that's applied to financial aid. So I think it's really important to know that the University of California wants you to fill out a FAFSA or a DREAM Act application. So if you are AB 540, make sure that you go ahead and fill out that DREAM Act application. Now, our cost of attendance and the financial aid, what you put in on there, it's going to be specific to you. That's why it's really difficult to have like general conversations around financial aid, because it really is around you, your family income, depending on the questions. I know somebody was saying, well, I'm 24. I believe there's a set of questions that they'll ask you, like, have you ever been in the military? Do you have a child? So you could be independent and be 19 if you have a child, right? And you're taking care of them. So it really isn't about age. It's really about those questions that you're going to be asked. So it's really important to know that the way in which the University of California is looking at your financial aid is really through the FAFSA. And then your application is also financial aid and scholarships application. So as the admissions office is reviewing your applications, the scholarships office is also looking at how they can award packages and award the best aid to you, right? So at time of admission, you will get a kind of a clear path. It might not be completely, what you're going to get right away. There might be some additional steps that you need to take, but your financial aid award letter will be made available to you at the same time as your admission. So you have time to review it, to connect with a financial aid officer if you need to ask more questions. So it's really important, again, not to think about sticker shock. Oh my God, the UC is so expensive, because you really don't know what your financial aid award letter is going to actually be at the end of the day. And I would highly encourage you guys to look at outside scholarships. Really focus on making sure that you're also applying to outside scholarships. And Melissa, go for it.
I was just going to say, I dropped a link in the chat. I'm doing really good at that today. But it basically has a lot of information about what financial aid looks like at UC and how it's a partnership between you, your parents, and the University of California, and that there's different types of financial aid opportunities, including grants, scholarships, loans, and work study. So just be aware of those things, but you definitely want to apply for financial aid using the FAFSA or the California DREAM Act application.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. And thanks, Melissa, for being super quick and dropping all those links in the chat today. So as we're approaching time, I wanted to conclude with maybe if everyone can give a word of advice or wisdom to all of those students who are joining us today in the webinar as well as on YouTube Live. And I will go ahead and pick somebody and we'll just get started. So I'll start with Esperanza.
All right. I will say, plan, prepare, and don't be discouraged, right? I think I've been talking to quite a few transfer students, and I've heard some really either people don't believe that you can go to the UC. The UC is a place for you. The UC is better because of you. And so really don't discount yourself out. Plan, prepare, ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. This is a really, really complicated process. We do not make it easy. And I mean, just by thinking of all the acronyms we repurpose to confuse students, it's really really take your time, breathe, prepare, take notes, have a little admissions planner journal to think about all the different requirements at all the different UCs, the things that you've done, the things that have affected you, or maybe the opportunities that you've taken advantage of. So I would just say to know that, there's a ton of support for you, that there's a lot of people at the UC that want to work with you and support you. So definitely reach out and stay motivated.
Awesome. And we can just popcorn it. So feel free to popcorn it or anyone else.
All right. I'm going to popcorn it to Sheila.
I knew it. I'm just kidding. I think my best advice would be your best advocate, right? You want to make sure that whatever decision it is that you want to make for yourself, wherever you want to be and go, that you are advocating for yourself and putting yourself in those spaces and not letting anyone tell you that those opportunities are not available. So definitely advocate for yourself, take chances, and, the sky's like the limit, or there's no limit. So don't limit your options, advocate for yourself, and really just take the chance and the opportunities, because you don't really know what's out there unless you really give yourself that chance to take the opportunity. And always advocate for yourself. Stand up for yourself, because you know where you want to go and what you want to do and who you want to be. And I will popcorn it over to Kathy.
Okay. I think just to mirror what the others were saying about it being technical and getting the right information, don't assume that you can just go on the web and find it yourself, or you can ask your friends or something like that. Make sure you're getting the right information, because you don't want to be stuck, on an extra semester or an extra year because you didn't take everything that you needed to do. And secondly, just enjoy it. Enjoy the process. Enjoy college. This is, should be a great time for you. So embrace all of it. Okay, I'll pass it on to Devon.
Thank you. Yes, this time is going to be a very, very fun time, slightly stressful with all the acronyms, but also a very fun time. I will only kind of add on to what my colleagues have said is find yourself a good team of peers, coordinators, and mentors to help you through this process, right? There was at one point over 600 people watching this live, which means there's probably at least one other person at your community college that you probably know who's also interested in applying to the UC. So why do it by yourself? You might as well connect with other people so that as you're writing your PIQs, as you're going through the TAP process, the tag process, you can have a group of people along with you to kind of go through that process. And when you get to the UCs, keep that same mentality. Have your village, have your team around you that help you get through that process. Okay. I will now pass it off to Melissa.
I have a colleague from UCLA that says this, and I've loved it. And he says that you are going to succeed not because you are a transfer student, not in spite of being a transfer student. And I think that's really powerful. And use that language whenever you're talking about your experience, right? You have a very unique and amazing journey, and your journey is your own. And don't ever let anyone tell you that you're doing the wrong thing, because you are going to do great and you have a lot of opportunities and you have a lot of support building that community at your community college, and then ultimately when you get to a UC campus. So you all are going to do amazing. I'm going to popcorn it over to, I think, Kia.
I think we have Brenda. If Brenda's still on the line.
I'm here. Yes. So I think I want to echo the same things that a lot of people were saying. One thing that I would say in addition is just taking advantage of all these different programs on campus, all these different communities on campus. Like, one of the things that I didn't do is connect with these programs on campus that could have really helped me, especially with networking in the future. So definitely, I have made lifelong friends. I went to UCSB and I'm still friends. I graduated 2008. I'm still friends with a lot of people that I met at UCSB.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. So at this time, I'm going to hop back to our presentation. I hope everyone is looking at my PowerPoint, but I want to echo it. I think there was a theme there with everybody, which is community, right? And using your resources. And so there were lots of questions. How do I get a hold of, UC admissions? How to make an appointment? Everyone whose their face is on this webinar and their name and which campus or program they're from. So take a screenshot, find us. We are happy to help you. But also here's the contact for all of our different campuses and resources, so you can reach out to us. Again, today's webinar is brought to you by the UC Transfer Prep Program. So that's another resource for you. So feel free to reach out to any one of our campuses. We're more than happy to assist you. And then, of course, I want to just make sure I also remind you that tomorrow at 1 o'clock, we'll be doing this again one more time with our three sister campuses. It'll be UC Davis, UC Santa Cruz, and UC San Diego. So they'll be joining us tomorrow. So please come back. We look forward to seeing you again. And I hope this is just the start of the journey of our relationship and